watch me. Oh, now it's live. Now it's live. Okay. Hi, guys. It's Sabu Theater Live. It's time for us to do requests. And June Prince is here.
Hey.
Yeah, he's on sleeping pills. So hopefully they don't kick in too soon. Like the real effect, the effect that he wants, which is to put him to sleep. Hopefully that doesn't kick in until after we're done reading his. Give him to me first, just so we can race the drugs. But
Good luck with that.
yeah,
I'm already kind of.
we'll see. He's loopy, but it's okay. No one judges people on drugs on this program. So we will be reading June Prince's The Beautiful Dead, which yeah, and that's exactly that was exactly my thoughts on doing The Beautiful Dead, and then after that, we'll be doing a little segment of Save Point Upload by Matthew Siege, which we will be bringing out. Sound Booth Theater will be bringing out very soon, narrated by Will Watt. It'll be the first Will Watt narration under Sound Booth Theater Live. I'm very excited about that, and I get to play as Cav, the adorable creature on the cover of Save Point. Let me get us some screenshots here. Not screenshots, some screen sharing going on, so that I want to look at your cover too, June, because it's cool. God, go away, dictionary. Why do you keep popping up? Let's see here. There we go. The Beautiful Dead. And go ahead and duplicate this so we can look at. Oh wait, no. We'll look at it this way. Siege. There it is. There we go. That is beautiful. And there's no cover for the other one. So let's go ahead and maximize this. And we'll screen share. We'll be falling into a vortex shortly. I apologize for that, everyone. Okay. So, Beautiful Dead, a tale of K-pop, ghosts, and nine-tailed foxwomen. Why does this lady on the cover not have nine tails? I'm disappointed.
Because she's not a fox right now.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say maybe they're all under her skirt, but then they're gonna be like really tiny tails. But no.
No, the way that it works is that she's the descendant of a nine-tailed fox, so she's kind of a weird thing. So, yeah, each generation they lose a tail, so now she's a four-tailed fox. That's four-tailed werefox.
Okay. So we will get to that in a moment. But I want to show you guys this cover for Save Point. We had this commissioned by a very, very amazing artist. Because I like the cover that Matthew Siege has, but it just it needed a little bit more. I thought it just wasn't gross enough. I could tell that this character should have been more gross, and now it is, and it's amazing. I can't the cover alone is making me excited to release this, and I'm playing that character. That's like the only maybe there's one other character that I'm playing in the book, but I'm playing this one. And yes. I can't wait, guys. This is so cool. And my favorite part about this, besides the character itself, is all the beautiful yellow flowers underneath it. Such a great contrast. But yeah, if that doesn't make you throw up in your mouth a little bit, I think maybe there's something wrong with you. And the screen share is over. So on to June Prince's Beautiful Dead. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about this book, June?
All right. I started writing it when I was living in Korea, and at that time I was trying to get as close to the K-pop industry as I could. So I was going to the filming of TV shows, music shows, and TV dramas. And I got to meet a bunch of the celebrities over there, the K-pop stars. And I had this daydream when I was walking home one day about a K-pop star getting possessed by a ghost while she was doing a photo shoot, and that just kind of inspired a short story, which became longer and ultimately became a novel.
Whoa. Okay, so
Yeah, that's how
they
my mind works. That's how I roll.
they really believed that she was possessed by a ghost? Like it was
No,
fake?
she really was being possessed by a ghost during a photo shoot. Like that was the daydream I had while I was
Oh, I
walking
see, I
home.
see, I see.
Yeah, that's not a true story.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my book. It's a
Alright, I
fiction.
see, I see. Um, so what got you into K-pop in the first place?
Um, it was a really long time ago. I downloaded a song not knowing what it was, and then I was hooked. And from there, I became interested in Korea. Skip ahead a decade, and I ended up moving there and was an exchange student over there, and that's how it happened.
Huh. Well, that's really cool. I would never have thought of myself as a K-pop fan, but maybe I just haven't heard very much of it. Like when I think of it, I don't really have a clear idea in my head. I just kind of think about, the pop that I hear out of Japan a lot, like
Yeah,
who
it's
actually
mostly. Oh,
first comes to
it's
mind is baby metal, but that's not it. That's not K-pop.
that's not no, that's not K-pop.
Yeah, no.
That's J rock metal,
Yeah, okay.
and I do love baby
Yeah.
metal.
But actually, yeah, baby metal I actually do like. So I guess my first thought is a positive association. But who are the main big people in K-pop right now?
Oh, right now, BTS is pretty popular. They're a boy band. Blackpink is popular twice. There's a lot of bands that are popular now. But I wrote this. I started writing this like almost not quite 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
Okay,
So it's a different scene now than it was back then.
gotcha. Oh yeah, so this was published September 29th of 2017. Okay, so this is not. I for some reason I thought this was one of your new ones. Okay,
Now, this is one of my older ones.
all right, cool. Well,
My first novel, actually.
I'm glad that you requested it because it sounds really interesting. And is this a game lit or lit RPG in any way?
This one is not game lit.
Cool.
Um, it's yeah. This is the only non-game lit book that I've published to date.
I just do so much game lit and lit RPG. I get excited about doing anything that's not game lit or lit RPG. So thank you. Okay, so you already told us all this stuff. Oh, okay, about the scene. Four members of a K-pop girl group are on a cruise ship that's being attacked by Japanese vampire pirates. Okay, that sounds awesome. The protagonists haven't yet encountered them and are currently in one of the band members' cabins and have just learned about each other's supernatural secrets. The narrative accelerates at this point, so we jump four POVs in one scene to see how everyone is reacting to the same events. When viewing the real/living world from the underworld as a ghost, regular humans look like walking corpses. Objects appear to be rotting and falling apart. It's a side effect of being outside of your body. Huh, that's really cool. Okay. Character notes: Moon Somi.
So me.
Okay. Not supernatural, regular human. Happy go lucky, eternally optimistic, hyper energetic. She's often treated like an airhead because that's how she acts, but it's almost impossible to be in a bad mood when you are around her. Okay, I think I know how to deal with that one. Ha, you been, right?
Yep. How
Psychic.
you been?
All right. Psychic empath/medium. Arrogant, doesn't really like most people, but is starting to form bonds of friendship with her group mates from whom she previously hated. She feels other people's emotions inside her body, and if she's not careful, she can be overwhelmed by them. Fate has conspired to make her throw up multiple times in the book. She also has the ability to push thoughts, ideas, and emotions on others. She can communicate silently with ghosts. That's what's happening in italics conversations, and feel them around her, but can't actually see them. Okay, how you been? Arrogant Moonsumi is happy-go-lucky. Okay. Beck Rena. Beck Rena. Beck Rena.
Brenna.
Rina, okay. Daughter of the CEO of her record label, usually hot-tempered, but for now she's feeling sorry for herself, like she's totally failed at being a good friend to her bestie Taeyun.
Taeyeon.
Okay, she has no supernatural abilities, even though everyone around her seems to have them. All right, Jang Taeyun. She's a gumiho, nine-tailed fox, and has the ability to change forms like a werewolf at will. She's also learning how to do magic and has cast a translation spell so people can understand Michi. All right, Kim Jun. Wait. Oh, this is a different. Okay, Jiun. Kim Jiun. All right, so Jong is the fox. Beck is the hothead who's kind of having a self-esteem issue right now.
Mm.
Kim Ji-yoon, poltergeist, was bullied in school, died in her mid-teens, and has since been living death, as a bitter ghost. She has a sadistic streak, but after becoming good friends with Yu Bean, she's spent the entire novel trying to learn how to become a good person again, rather than being consumed by hate. She has the powers of possession, telekinesis, and controlling machines/electronics. Recently learned that she can increase her power by ripping apart other spirits and eating them. Doing so induces an addictive euphoria. Souls explode when shredded. Excuse me. All right, Michi, Japanese were shark hunting the vampire pirates that was recently brought on board the ship as a woman lost at sea. She likes blood. She's bloodthirsty in combat and when the scent of blood is in the air. Okay, so all female characters.
Yes, you're
Thank,
welcome.
thank you for that. All right, and then you are starting each. Oh, at least it's all third person.
Yeah, and it's all one scene, so it's sequential. So
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get started. I am now going to be a Korean girl band. So here goes. Oh wait, let me see. I've been not watching the chat. Okay. All right. Somi arrived at Yubin's cabin with not one, but two boxes of takeaway containing thick, juicy, rare steaks. She knocked on the door with a tap, tap, tap. Yubin answered. She hadn't noticed the redness around Yubin's eyes and skipped into the room. Okay, so Somi.
Sorry I'm late. I decided to get a couple steaks from the restaurant because I've been really craving red meat.
Everyone exchanged glances. Michi couldn't understand a word of what Somi said, but added helpfully, "It smells like blood."
Did she just speak Japanese?
Somi asked. "Yes," Yubin said.
Then how come I can understand?
"It's a long story." Hold on, Yubin is... I gotta keep track. Okay, she's
she's
the
the
arrogant
arrogant one.
one. Alright, let me try her again. "Yes," Yubin said.
Then how come I understand?
"It's a long story." That was all that was required for Somi to accept the situation. Yubin said that there was a story. A story meant a good reason. It was all she needed to know. As Somi plopped down in the chair beside Yubin's desk, she became aware of the somber looks within the cabin.
Did someone else die?
Somi asked. Who is this? Is this still Yubin?
Uh, yes.
No, but a lot has happened. Taeyun knows everything now. About Jiyoon, about my abilities, and she had something to tell us as well. And this is Taeyun.
And
Taeyun, who is the fox.
yes.
I'm a gumiho.
A look of childlike wonder crossed Somi's face.
Wow!
She grinned and followed.
Awesome! So why does everyone seem so sad?
Rena still sat in the corner looking despondent, and Yubin and Taeyun sat beside one another on the bed, which a quiet Michi sat at the end of. And is this
You've been.
this is still you? Okay. Everything's fine now. There was some hard feelings over the secrets we'd been keeping, but we've had some time to talk about it. Talk it out. Somi looked to Rena and then back to Yubin and Taeyun.
Even her?
Somi chewed a chunk of bloody steak, and Michi eyed the meat hungrily. Taeyun looked surprised, as if she'd completely forgotten Rena was in the room with them. I felt betrayed, but I didn't know all this. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's Rena talking.
Okay, and then Rena is not listed. Okay. Rena, who is she again?
She was the hothead who's feeling sorry for herself right now.
Okay.
I felt betrayed, but I didn't know all the stuff Yubin was going through either. I don't want to feel bad anymore. Group hug?
Somi suggested. Group hug, Yubin confirmed. The two women on the bed reached their hands out to Somi, and she joined their collective embrace, completely unaware of the tension that had existed between them before she arrived. Rena remained in her corner, and Yubin looked to her.
You too,
Yubin said.
I don't deserve it.
It was then that Taeyun looked at Rena, squarely for the first time since shunning her would-be embrace. And Taeyun... too many...
Gumiho.
Oh, the Gumiho, okay.
You too,
Taeyun said, as she let go of Yubin and reached her arm toward Rena.
I'm still mad at you, but I also still need you as my best friend.
The four girls rocked back and forth with their arms around one another. Michi reluctantly cleared her throat and waved her hand as if to say, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but... Japanese were too polite.
I don't mean to break this up, but now that you are all here, I should remind you that there are vampirates on the way.
The crimson charm dangled from Somi's wrist, and the maknae took another bite of steak. How you been? There were footsteps in the hall. Distant calls of confusion sounded, and then faded out of earshot. When Yubin first peeked, she saw everything she'd expect to see in the hallway: wallpaper, carpet, an overhead light to illuminate the passage. Then, a cloud of what seemed like liquid darkness rolled past the open door, and all was black beyond their quarters. Michi noticed too, and said, "They've boarded." Yubin's stomach did a somersault when she saw it. The inky dark felt like she was standing on a cliff looking down on primordial darkness, the cabin at the end of the universe. She recentered when she looked away, but every time she glanced back, her innards tangled and snaked around themselves in an unholy blast of vertigo. It had spilled a meter or so into the room, and she could no longer see the door to close it. She was the first to see, and more than anything wanted to cover the gaping hole in the side of the cabin. It wasn't just for her own immediate discomfort. Rena turned her head toward the door, then Taeyun. She had to worry about second-hand discomfort. Their gut reactions, not unlike her own, rebounded upon Yubin, leaving her briefly incapacitated. She put her weight against the wall and tried hard not to hurl. She panted, hiding her face in the crook of her elbow.
Please, don't look at it.
She gave the others a push.
Looking through the door is a very bad idea.
They looked away. Thank God, the sensations faded. Seriously, if anyone knew how often her abilities made her sick up, she'd have all kinds of brilliant nicknames. At least she hadn't been on the verge of losing consciousness for a while. Instead of being Princess Fall Downy Pants, she could be Puke Face or Soup Girl. A spark of curious inspiration stirred inside her. It had been easier to separate herself from the emotions of others before she cared about them, but now there had to be a way to shield herself from her bandmates. She imagined she held stone effigies, like chess pieces, of everyone who made her head spin, and in a mental swoop swept them all into a make-believe drawstring sack so she couldn't see them anymore. She pulled it shut in her mind and sighed in relief of all the mental clutter. She could still feel echoes of the others' discomfort, but they were tolerable now and imprecise. She could almost see the look on Ji-yoon's face based on the feelings coming off her. It indicated that the ghost had somehow seen what she had done. And this is okay. This is
That would be
still
Jiyun's
this,
thoughts coming into Yubin's head.
and Ji-yoon is the
Ghost, the poltergeist.
the poltergeist. That's right.
Where'd you learn to do that? I don't know, Eubine said aloud. It just felt right. You continually amaze me. Has anyone ever told you you'd make a good ghost? What is that supposed to mean? Relax. I'm not gonna kill you. Unless you want me to. Eubine had the impression Jiyun was snickering. She wondered if all ghosts were so easily distracted. Vampirates. Creepy end of the world just outside our cabin. Ah, right. I think they're here. And what do you mean? You don't see it? See what? Interesting. No, really, see what? The ghost was confused. What do you see when you look out the door? A hallway? Why? We can't see anything. Something jostled her spirit. One bump, two bumps, three. Eubine felt floaty. She looked down and realized that she was staring at the top of her own head. She thought their friendship had moved beyond non-consensual possession. Eubine howled in the underworld. I told you not to do that! No one else heard. The lamps inside the room sputtered, and Reyna, for the first time since Superberry, appeared clammy and corpse-like. A dark cloud of energy swarmed around Somi as she ate what now appeared to be gray-green rotting steak. The only way she could think of to describe Somi's aura was a corrosive anti-fire. It surrounded her in a way that seemed protective, but at the same time she had the sense that the darkness was chewing away at and altering her pattern. Her light was all murky and obscured. She'd almost forgotten to look into the hallway beyond the cabin. She could see the floor and wall beyond. They glowed with natural spirit light. It It looks... She hadn't had time to finish the words before Jiyun slipped out, and she felt the ghost shove her back into her body. Um...
June.
Okay. Sorry, expedience. Yep, it's dark out there. I already told you that, Eubine thought to Jiyun. I wanted to see for myself. Everything okay? That was Rena. Um... Yeah, sorry. Talking to June. She says the vampires have arrived. Beck Rena. Oh, okay, that's right. Okay. Beck Rena. Her stomach jumped when she saw the darkness beyond the cabin. She imagined it was a little bit like looking out the window of a space shuttle, only she hadn't actually realized that she was in a spaceship to begin with, and there weren't any stars to look at. Eubine sounded pained. Please don't look at it. She wasn't entirely sure how Eubine's thing worked, but if she really could feel what was going on inside everyone around her, and everyone there felt like they were about to fall off a cliff... Logic. 3 points for Rena. Okay, wait a minute. I keep forgetting who's who. Beck Rena is the...
She's the hot-tempered one that
That's right,
was
that's right.
feeling kind of sorry for herself.
Okay, that's right. Logic! 3 points for Rena. She must be ready to lose her cookies. Again, for the 100th time. All things considered, what with psychics and gumiho and ghosts and singing Japanese shark ladies, she felt she did an admirable job of keeping a level head in the face of the supernatural. What was a little darkness? Ha! The void spilled into the room like a cloud of ink that had dribbled into a tub of water. It rolled in a cylindrical pattern through the compartment, engulfing Eubine first, and then Somi. Taeun. She heard the beginning sounds of her own scream before the black consumed her. The cloud disoriented. Sound was muffled. She felt as if she'd been dunked headlong into a swimming pool, only without physical resistance from the water. All sounds were far away. At first, there was just dark, but as her eyes adjusted, there were indistinct shades of black and even darker black spiraling within the absence of light. Her breathing was heavy. She hadn't moved. She felt as if she were coming down off a good 45 minutes on the stair machine. The sensation intensified. Her chest tightened as though she were having an asthma attack. She heaved for air. The darkness was suffocating. An onslaught of cold pricks like tiny icicles stabbed her neck, her cheek, and her collarbone. The tiny jabs swarmed from her shoulders, to her arms, to her wrists. Now it pierced the palms of her hands. She felt lightheaded in the way she did after being partially exsanguinated during a blood drive.
She thrashed weakly and choked for air. In the muffled dark around her, she heard the sound of Taeun snarling. Furniture crashed. If her Gumiho bestie was going to be a hero, she had better hurry up and save the day. She had never felt so helpless in her life. With the realization that there was nothing she could do but let the life drain out of her in the face of an unseen enemy, there was the haunting thought that no one knew she was running out of air. The others were fighting, but Rena's arms flailed in the darkness. She probed for something to hold on to. A way out. A space that still had oxygen. She felt the cushy fabric of the armchair in the corner. At least it was soft. She'd never become CEO or attend Yonsei University, which, it occurred to her, wasn't such a bad thing after all. Being forced into a top school. It didn't matter anymore because now it was time to die. Zhang Taeyun. Zhang Taeyun. As darkness rolled through the room, the familiar burn of transformation boiled through Taeyun's body. It was impossible to see, but then in any fox shape, her eyesight was far poorer than normal. She tried to listen. Sound was distorted. Even though she stood in her 4.5-tailed form, her eyes were still only slightly better than human. That was strange. 2 sets of heavy footsteps. Rena screamed. Taeyun sniffed the air. Blood. She wiped the space where Rena's attacker should have been, but came up with only air. She clawed again. A lamp hit the floor. Come to think of it, she hadn't heard the sound of footfalls in Rena's direction. She closed her eyes, though in this muck it was unnecessary, and followed the sound of the second set of footsteps. They were heading towards Somi. She lunged. Jackpot! A large body collapsed on the floor between the 2 beds. She snarled in both triumph and satisfaction. She breathed heavily. Something about the darkness made her feel winded, but not enough to hold her back. A fist, more powerful than a man's, pounded into her ribcage. It was like being slammed by a truck. Snarls of triumph became yelps of pain, but the vampire voice joined in that chorus. Suddenly, the scent of blood became much stronger, and the creature's entire body jerked the opposite direction. It must be Michi. Taeyun followed suit and fastened her maw on what must have been the creature's leg. She pulled one way, Michi pulled the other. Their adversary shrieked in pain. Suddenly, faster than the darkness entered, light returned. Rena lay unconscious on the ground and bleeding against the chair. A red path of circles, as if made by suction cups, twisted about her exposed skin. Within each small red circle, there were smaller rings of puncture marks with minute beads of blood clinging to the surface of the skin. Black-eyed Michi, with her too wide mouth and multiple rows of shark's teeth, clenched her jaws on the intruder's bicep. Smears of blood wet her face as Michi jerked her neck, separating limb from torso. Taeyun recoiled in horror. It was one thing attacking faceless creatures in the dark, but this bloodied thing that lay beneath her had the face and shape of a man. No matter how much her instincts commanded that she run down mice and rabbits in the field, she was not yet ready for murder. She was just a pop star, for Christ's sake. Why'd you let go? Michi asked. I can't, Taeyun trembled. It's a vampire and would kill each and every one of us if we let it escape. Please, the man pleaded. Just let me go. We didn't know there were kitsune. Look at your friend, Michi said. Taeyun did, and her heart sank as she realized that Rena was no longer moving. I'm sorry. Taeyun whimpered as she shrunk down into human form. She grasped Rena by the shoulders and shook. Tears rolled down her face. I'm sorry. I can't stay mad at you. You're the best friend I've ever had. Wake up, Rena. Wake up. She shook her friend harder as if she really had gone to sleep. The vampire laughed. I'm sorry, but what the fuck, girl? You're all claws and teeth one moment, and then... He didn't have time to finish because the head and 6 inches of spine pulled free of the body. Michi hadn't done it. The head just pulled off while no one was touching it. The severed head, limb, and torso crumpled into ash, leaving only a pair of black, ripped jeans, leather jacket, and an extra-pan t-shirt in its place. Even the blood that spattered Taeyun's face turned to sooty specks. How's Yubin sound again?
Arrogant.
Oh yeah, that was different, Yubin mumbled. Then, in a louder voice, I don't think she's dead. At least, Jiyoon doesn't think so. Yubin, Somi, Rena, and Taeyun's cacao talks all sounded at once, as if energized by the sound of not one, but 4 simultaneous text messages. Rena began coughing in Taeyun's arms. Yubin, as if on autopilot, checked the message on her phone. Taeyun's tears of grief quickly evolved into those of relieved gratitude as Taeyun clung to her best friend. Taeyun is the fox, right?
Square
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
Yes.
You scared the hell out of me.
Ow? Is that Ow? OWE?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Rena ground.
I feel like I've just been... Ugh. My body hurts all over.
Once it became clear that Rena wasn't dying, Taeyun followed Yubin's example and checked her phone. I can kill them, happy face, the message said. All 4 mobiles chimed again as Jiyoon amended her statement. If they deserve it. This time even Rena checked her phone. The only one who didn't was Somi, who Taeyun only just noticed was absent. Kim Ji-yoon. And Kim Ji-yoon is who again?
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, okay. The vampire burst into ash.
Whoa, that really does happen.
She'd never killed a vampire before, but then humans were the only living things she had experience with. Then again, vampires weren't exactly living, were they? She'd think about that one later. At least the whole beheading thing from the movies worked. Before she'd ripped off its head, she hadn't been sure if vampires had souls, or if they did, if there was any chance they'd end up in the Deadlands. In this case, so she learned, just as vampires had once been a mockery of life, so too were they an imitation of death. A spirit, or something like one, appear huddled inside its shroud, a mucus-like substance encasing all newly released souls. But it was a weak thing, nearly transparent and quickly fading from existence. Excuse me, guys. This is Kim Ji-yoon again?
Yeah, it's only her in the
Okay.
scene.
Okay.
Interesting.
She felt pangs of addiction stir within. She remembered the Shadow Man and the rush of power she'd felt in the wake of their encounter. There could be even more vampires, and beheading took a lot of it. Vampires and beheading took a lot of energy. The spirit was fading. And really, who was going to miss this guy? She ripped open the shroud with her hands. What lay inside looked like the creature she had destroyed, but unlike the souls of humans, it twitched and sputtered mechanically. Its eyes continually blinked, and its ghostly equivalent to muscles twitched rhythmically as it huddled in the fetal position. She snapped her fingers in front of the broken soul's face. Its tongue lolled out of its mouth.
Rise and shine, buddy. Anyone in there?
The soul made no response before a slurring sound. Jiyun shrugged.
Whatever.
There was no reason to converse with dinner. She tried to recall what exactly she'd done with the Shadow Man, and hoped the same process would work on this guy. Steadily, she pushed both hands into its chest, and pulled with all her might. Her center flared, and she augmented her strength with a bit of telekinesis. Under her grasp, she felt the soul begin to tear. Then she stopped.
Did you say R? You were a vampire pirate, and your last words are R? You have got to be the worst, most cliche vampire I have ever seen. R!
She chuckled to herself. Put that on your tombstone. R! Me hearty. Giggling quietly, the ghost pulled against the plaz? Plaz?
Plas. It's a
Plas.
word just for the bodies of ghosts.
Okay. Against the Plas with a final heave of physical and telekinetic strength, and the soul exploded. Tiny sparkles like glitter and confetti swirled about the cabin like a giant snow globe. Unlike the Shadow Man, however, they were insubstantial, like the vampire's soul itself, nearly transparent. The bias wasn't as strong as before, but that didn't matter. It was still energy, and the way this night was going, she was going to need it. She threw her head back and lowered the soul's husk into the back of her throat. And that's it. So what a trippy ass scene. So they they get over some drama, and then the vampires come, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Like they're being overwhelmed by them.
Yeah, so vampires are attacking their cruise ship, and yeah, they want to eat everybody, and they don't. The vampires don't know that there are supernatural creatures on board the ship.
Yeah, this is trippy as fuck. I did not expect any less from a K-pop band with one of them being a fox and the rest like ghosts and Japanese sharks and stuff. But it's really intriguing. So thank you so much for requesting that one, and giving me all these
Yeah, thank you for reading it.
voices
Yeah,
that struggle. They're all Asian. They're all they're all teenage girls. Just had to figure out a way. But yeah,
you're welcome.
if you guys enjoyed this one, the link to the book is in the description below the YouTube video. And June, are you about to pass out from your sleep?
Yeah, the sun just rose. Well, since we started,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'd
Yeah,
better go to sleep.
yeah. Get in there and get tucked in. So yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. And on to the next request. Have a good one, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So on to some more save point. I gotta blow my nose first. If you guys won't hold that against me. And here it is. That trippy clown NATO is a movie coming out? What? Clown NATO? The fuck are you talking about? Okay. Like Sharknado, but with clowns. Okay. So clowns are being launched at people. I can dig. I can watch that for at least 5 minutes. All right. On to save point. I'm gonna just share the cover one more time because it's just that cool. Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Here we go. Look at that! Look at that thing! That's me. That's me. Ah! Okay. Yeah. So on to save point. Now the actual audiobook is going to be narrated by Will Watt. His first SBT audiobook. I think he did a fantastic job, especially for having to do an American accent. He is a Brit. Um, and actually, he's narrating Shadow Sun Survival with his natural accent. So I prefer his natural accent. I think I prefer everyone's natural accent, but I also like to listen to British accents for narration. Anyway, looks like something you would wake up to camping in hell. Yeah, that's actually a very apt observation. All right, so let's get on this. What is this scene? All right. So, Adam, main character, is a mid-20s guy with an attitude and brain cancer. This scene is the end of a scene where he and Toot, not his real name, but essentially an alien responsible for giving newcomers to the Citadel, discuss the basics of life in a litRPG setting. Adam's snarky and arrogant, and Toot's prim and proper, and not all that certain how to take Adam's attitude. All right. Standing around like this was starting to get to me. I hadn't gone through all of that craziness to get here just to play a few rounds of 20 questions with a sentient bowling ball, no matter how much info he had for me. I think I'm ready to head out, I told him. Already? There is so much you don't know. I learn best by doing. Do you have any starting gear to give me? I do not. My heart sank, but only a little. If the powers that be wanted me to be self-sufficient, then so be it. Okay then, this is goodbye for now, I guess. Time to get grinding. Toot couldn't wave, but he swooped low and bounced off of my shoulder in what I assumed was a farewell. I have to admit that, though a lifetime of your simulations may have prepared you well for what you are about to undertake, you appear to be an arrogant dolt. However, you are correct about the best way forward. There are a plethora of low-level creatures upon which to hone your skills on this. The lowest floor. As you ascend, I think I rolled my eyes and interrupted him. If he was going to call me on my arrogance, I wasn't going to bother to hide it. You think that I'll be surprised by how powerful they get? I'm with you. Thanks for your help, Toot. You've been just shy of useful. That sounded meaner than I meant it to, so I tried again. Sorry. It's the nerves, I guess. He didn't answer. When I looked for him, he was already gone. I felt bad about that. He was just doing his job, and I sure wasn't the easiest person to get along with lately. It probably took a special brand of irritating to piss off a being tasked with giving me a standard spiel, but I'd manage it. I hadn't noticed it, but the trees had gathered even closer around me while I'd been talking to Toot, erasing the path I'd taken to get to him. The only way out of the woods was straight ahead, across the glade and through the little field of bobbing neon flowers on the other side of the gently flowing stream. The water may be flowing oddly, but at least it wasn't deep. Instead of finding a narrower place to leap it, I decided to just wade right on through it. It felt like I should say something. This was momentous. After all, I splashed into the water and thought of something equally cliched and poignant. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single— Fuck! I fell forward, splashing into the suddenly frothing, all-too-pink water. Stunned, I managed to look down at my legs in an effort to work out why I'd collapsed. The answer was obvious. My foot was gone. I watched it float away as 3 broad-jawed fish things clipped off big bites of meat and boot leather. That little gang of assholes wasn't alone either. They just happened to be the most ambitious. I felt their friends clambering and bumping against my body, snapping crescent slices off me before coming back for more. I panicked. I tried to push myself up to my hands and knees so that I could scramble away from the stream, but all that did was show me how much damage they've already done. Most of my fingers were gone. My flesh was more open than closed. Even though I'd managed to get my body out of the water, the fuckers were really starting to frenzy in earnest. They jumped out of the stream and latched onto me, weighing me down and using their fat, wriggling bodies to leverage away yet more chunks of flesh. chunks of fetish. Uh, I beat at them with my stumps as I scrambled up the opposite bank. One of the creatures lunged at my face and bounced off, landing in front of me in the grass. I balled up what was left of my hand and smashed it down the down on the damn thing. It took a couple of tries, but in the time I had before the end, I did all I could to take my fury out on it. I couldn't prop myself up any longer, and when I slumped face down on the fish, it promptly nipped off my nose. That new bright pain was somehow the worst, though at least it was the last. Hey, don't make fun of me when I have strokes. Step, Toot said helpfully. He sounded so proud that I almost forgot the horrors I'd just endured. Huh? I was still in the glade, mere steps from where the fish had dragged me down and murdered me. In the hour since you perished, I took the liberty of researching the phrase you were in the middle of saying. I suppose I was curious. The answer is step. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That pleases me, because I couldn't understand how any amount of fucks could begin a journey. I swatted at the orb in frustration, but he easily dodged my swipe. Shut up, Toot! I told you I wouldn't be answering to that. Whatever. What were those things? Toot. Hmm. A previous human has already classified them. He called the creatures puddle piranhas. Are you ready for me to allow the Citadel to share the stats of flora and fauna with you? He asked. I thought about informing him that he had just answered to his new moniker, but instead I just said, yes, please. Puddle piranha. Classification: untamable fauna. These ravenous creatures flatten their bodies, allowing them to thrive in extremely shallow bodies of water. They are dangerous ambush predators, inflating and attacking the instant an unsuspecting prey item is careless enough to stray into range. Abilities: Water Dash, Snip, Leap, Frenzy. Hit points: 2. Physical Buffer: 1. Mental Ward: 0. Experience Value: 1. Toot zoomed over to the water, most likely peering down into it. They're still down there. The part about carelessly straying into range described you perfectly, by the way. Is that what your Earth simulations taught you? To flaunt danger and rush in headlong without the slightest amount of preparation? No, I sighed, feeling rightfully like an idiot. Like an idiot. I just got cocky, that's all. Well, as I said, it cost you an hour. Does every death make me lose an hour from my time? Of course not. The next death will delay you 10 hours, and the one after that, 100. Right, I said, frowning. Excuse me, guys. I think he slipped a sleeping pill in my drink. Right, I said, frowning. Oh, wait. Does every death make me lose an hour from my time? Oh, okay, that's right. Right, I said, frowning. So what you're saying is that I should try not to die. Toot may not have had a tongue with which to click, but he still managed to tut-tut at me. Should I have mentioned that earlier? I thought it was implied. I ignored him, since he clearly wasn't interested in helping me. I may have earned the low blows I was receiving, but I pushed them aside anyway and concentrated on my stats. I found that I could dig down past the numbers and dive into the combat log itself. Better yet, there was an option to get real-time updates, which I quickly worked out how to mentally mentally toggle. Right about then was when I realized how much of a dumbass I'd been not to ask about hit points and when I had the chance. Now that I'd been brought up short by how dangerous this place was, I looked at how many I had.
Hit points 16.
Toot, how are my hit points calculated?
Your stamina multiplied by fortitude. Changes to either will allow retroactive increases.
Those piranha things had only been doing a single point of damage each, except for the critical hit one had ambushed me right off the bat, which had done 3. Even so, it had taken no more than 20 seconds for the school of them to finish me off. At least I'd killed one of them along the way. I looked at my experience counter, but it was still a 0. Fuck this, I growled.
Is something wrong?
When you respawn, you lose all your experience. That's shit! Toot buzzed nearer to me, away from the water. I didn't know if he could get hurt or not, but I had noticed how careful he was over by the puddle piranha's hunting ground.
That is explicitly not the case.
All right, I'm gonna stand up. Because I keep getting sleepy. Yeah, I got roofied. Thanks. Thanks, June, for roofing me. Kinda hot. Okay. Toot, how are my hit points calculated?
Your stamina multiplied by fortitude. Changes to either will allow retroactive increases.
Those piranha things had only been doing a single point of damage each, except for the critical hit one had ambushed me with right off the bat, which had done 3. Even so, it had taken no more than 20 seconds for the school of them to finish me off. At least I'd killed one of them along the way. I looked at my experience counter, but it was still at 0. Fuck this, I growled.
Is something wrong?
When you respawn, you lose all of your experience. That's shit! Toot buzzed nearer to me, away from the water. I didn't know if he could get hurt or not, but I had noticed how careful he was over by the puddle piranha's hunting ground.
That is explicitly not the case.
Then something's broken and you better fix it fast. I killed one of those bastards and I didn't get credit for it.
I see.
Toot aimed for an empathetic tone, but only managed to hit slightly condescending.
I'm afraid you failed to land a fatal blow. You did injure one, but his wounds were not fatal.
And where is he?
He flopped back into the stream.
Oh. Duh.
Did you expect different information? Did you expect different information?
He sounded so sad, and I remembered how bad I'd felt about treating him like the hired help before. Thanks for the info, though.
You're welcome. I am trying to be useful, you know?
I nodded. And I appreciate it. It's been too easy for me to pretend that I'm the only one that matters lately. I guess that's turning out to be a difficult attitude to shake. He buzzed over slowly, hovering a respectable distance away from me.
Because of your affliction, you mean?
I nodded. I still didn't like to give the word power by saying it, though actively avoiding it seemed to be putting it up on a pedestal in much the same way. Cancer, I told him, oddly proud that my voice didn't waver. I've got cancer.
You had cancer, you mean?
I did a comical, almost violent double take. You're going to have to back that up and run it by me again, Toot.
Forgive me. I can tell by the way your benchmarked biofeedback levels have spiked that I misspoke. Your cancer isn't cured, Adam. I only meant that the Citadel did not elect to include the carcinoma in your current body. Your true form at the station is still suffering from the unfortunate condition. I hope that clears everything up.
It did not. My current body?
Yes.
I looked down at myself, searching for signs of damage from the piranha attack. I didn't find any, and poking and prodding the places where I knew the worst injuries had been inflicted didn't elicit any unusual response. So, this isn't me?
You currently inhabit a substitute vessel custom-made to exacting specifications.
And where am I right now? The me that's talking to you, that is.
You are about to enter the Citadel's first floor, of course. You almost did. Technically, the journey begins on the other side of the stream. Part of you made it. Your total time in the Citadel proper stands at 3.5 seconds.
That's it?
Toot sounded sheepish. You did die before all of you crossed the stream. I'll have you know that there was much discussion amongst my people as to whether or not that meager measurement was biased in your favor. I'll have you know that I featured prominently in the ruling, championing your case to the best of my ability.
Fascinating, I lied, stepping toward the stream.
Not again, Adam.
I waved him into silence. I could see the spot where the attack had happened. The powdery sand on the other side had been churned up, and now that I knew what I was looking at, I could see where my blood had seeped in. Here and there lay grisly tidbits of the flesh of the fish. Here and there lay grisly tidbits the fish had left behind. Toot,
Yes?
I'm going to ask you the same question again. If you brush me off with that first floor of the Citadel nonsense, I'm going to chuck you in the stream and let the puddle piranhas break their teeth on you. Where am I?
I'm not allowed to give an exact location. Even if I did, it wouldn't mean anything to you.
What about the scientists and technicians back at the station? Would they be able to use the information to pinpoint the Citadel? He paused for a moment, lost in thought.
The consensus amongst my people is that the outcome you describe is remotely possible, though very highly unlikely. Even if they did, even if they could, it would be generations before your race harnessed the power and crafted a ship to hold it that was capable of making the journey.
Okay. How about a new question then? Is the Citadel running a simulation?
Yes.
A virtual one?
No.
Then it's like a dream, or an upload of my consciousness?
The Citadel builds bodies. Your mind is here. The physical things that happen to you within this place have no bearing on the tangible frame that you left behind on your station. In that way, it is simulation. It is a simulation. When your allotted time here is thought. When your allotted time here is through, your mind will be allowed to return to whence you came.
So my old body got eaten over there for real, and now I'm in a new one.
Yes.
Ah. And the suit? It's new too? I patted it with my palms, unable to find any holes or tears.
Correct.
Wait a second. I looked down at my feet. Sure enough, the helmet was gone. What about the visor I was wearing?
You didn't have it with you when you died. Something must have taken it in the last hour.
Something? Is that the best you can do? Toot paused. I was beginning to understand that he wasn't thinking so much as he was conferring with the hive mind about what he should and shouldn't say.
None of my people are aware of what your helmet went, of where your helmet went.
Ah. I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself that what he was telling me was the truth. The real me, the body I lived in for all but the last few hours, is back in the middle of the labyrinth,
With any luck, yes,
he said, though the way the word came out sounded like he immediately regretted it. What's that supposed to mean?
I can't say any more regarding the purpose of the labyrinth.
I made a face. Did it really matter if I was riding around in a flesh and blood reproduction as opposed to a virtual simulation like I'd assumed? Probably not, though it was going to take some getting used to. Adam? I shook myself out of the depths of my own thoughts. Yeah? Be more careful. Learn what you can here, and save your questions about the station for the people that operate it. You have a whole world to adapt to, and splitting your focus will not be to your benefit. Excuse me. I nodded slowly. Thanks, I told him. I mean it. That's some damn good advice. You are very welcome. I felt a little closer to Toot, and I wanted to end the conversation by asking him something about himself. It had been way too long since I cared about anything outside of my own outside of my own skin, and I wanted to prove to him that I could be something other than acerbic. What is the name of your faction? We are we are the Ivaren. Ivaren, I repeated. Am I completely butchering that? I could hear a smile in his response. It was remarkably close, actually. Have you always guided people through the citadels? No, the Avars challenged the Avex for control of the Citadel's top floor and lost. Our penalty was the position we currently hold, bonded to these golems and sworn to increase the abilities and knowledge base of existing players, all the while no longer able to partake in a game we came so close to winning. Shit. I knew firsthand how hard it was when I was forced to watch someone I knew firsthand how hard it was when was forced to watch someone fuck up something I was good at. This must be torture. When do you get to play again? When the Avex are driven from the top floor. Um, is it? How should I put this? Is it any fun? Being a guide? He paused, once more consulting the groupthink. I am told that it depends on who you are guiding. Right. I get that. I meant for you, Toot. Are you having any fun? When your name was put on the list and you were assigned to me, I prepared for a grueling mission from which I would never recover. I winced. And were you right about how shitty it would be? Almost. Now go. You are squandering your time. And watch your step, Adam. That first one's a doozy. All right. Woo! And that's that. More save point. Yo, wake up, dude. Jesus. I had a lot of coffee today. Maybe I'm crashing. Or again, the June Prince date rape hypothesis is not off the table. Bye, Barry. Okay. Did Annalise ever show up? So I'm reading her request. I don't know if she sent an email. Hmm. Well, tell her to come back. Okay, sorry. Uh. Open my eyeballs, man. Come back, Annalise. Come back. Okay, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be reading here. There's like screenshots or pictures of some bits in this BuzzFeed article. I don't know if I'm supposed to read the whole article. Maybe I should be screen sharing this with you guys. Don't know. She needs to come in here and tell me. Maybe I'm just supposed to read. Okay, I'm just gonna start going. So this is an article about here's how some male authors for really real described women in books. And I think it's just to make fun of the fact that there's some male authors out there who don't know what women like or what they're into when it comes to sex or how they describe themselves or how to write the thoughts of a woman. So here's what I'll do. I will braille around the nipple. Let's see. Read every clip. Okay, so that's what I'll do. Should I screen? I'll go ahead and screen share it. See, I can't. I wish there was a way to like split it between the screen share and the camera, but oh well. Okay. See, this doesn't even like they didn't show the whole thing. Pearl buttons flew in all directions, and she was about to cover her startled breasts when something happened. I love that. Her startled breasts. That actually does that does a little bit something for me. I can see like the nipples like, "Huh? What?" Not bad. I don't know. I don't understand the complaint there. Okay. Um Perhaps even an offering directly to you rather than the church, continued Stephen. I am sure your work here is little valued. Most generous. Her large breasts rippled in appreciation. One to the treasurer, and one to you, I confirmed to clinch the deal. Her large breasts rippled in appreciation. I'm behind that one too. I can picture that. They're like, oh, oh. Her breasts are appreciating what she said. I don't know what she's talking about. There's nothing wrong with this writing at all. Let's see. Here goes. Okay. He stood up and danced with it thwopping side to side, a little pole of pulsing pleasure leading him toward Sage as she danced, her breasts nowhere near as big as they would be in the fall. But even so, their curve and bounce on her ribs as she danced, her arms in the air to the left and right of her butt dipping and spinning. Two big round muscles like the rumps of mountain sheep, known so well to him, their layer of fat hardly there in this month. Just pure muscle and the promise of fat, maybe the best look of all. Such a long-legged girl, so rangy, so graceful and smooth. Okay, this one is terrible. Because that is one huge long run-on sentence. Her butt dipping and spinning. Dip and spin? Okay, two big round muscles like the rumps of. See, don't describe animals. Don't like analogize something that we're supposed to be into sexually with a fucking sheep. Are you kidding me? I don't want to like totally turned off. He said sheep, no longer imagining a delicious buttocks. Yeah, promise of fat? What the fuck? Um, yeah, that's a weird one. It's a weird one. Sorry, I have to, like, go back and forth so I can see what you guys are saying in the text. Okay, number 4. But she was. But she was, for the bathroom door didn't altogether close, due to the old frame of the house settling over the centuries, and she had to sit on the toilet some minutes waiting for the pee to come. Men, they were able to conjure it up immediately. That was one of their powers, that thunderous splashing as they stood lordly above the bowl. Everything about them was more direct. Their insides weren't the maze women's were, for the pee to find its way through. What? What? Is okay, I guess that's what that guy thinks, is a woman's urinary tract. Why are they talking about that anyway? Okay. The cold air made my oh, okay, this woman. The cold air made my hair stand up from the roots the way my nipples stood erect, every follicle on my arms and legs becoming a tiny clitoris, and every cell of me awake and alert at rigid attention. Um, I don't know. I don't have a big problem with that. Just a million clits. Like a a woman feeling like her hairs are just a million clits. Oh man, I forgot to give you guys a warning. This is cringe theater, by the way. So hide your husband, hide your wife, hide your children. Yeah. Holly glanced at the younger woman now, watched her watching. Melinda was a natural beauty who paid little attention to what God had given her, and even though she rarely made much of an effort, she always exuded sexiness. It was partly her looks, but mainly the intelligence. What? Oh, okay. She didn't have to do anything to be sexy. I don't know. Sounds like you're complaining cause this isn't you, Miss BuzzFeed author, writer, whatever. We made love in her bed, on her desk, in the library after studying for her exam. Studying for an exam. Her breasts were like pillows of dough, and her ass was like a mold of gelatin, wiggling with each step. I grabbed each part as if it were my own. Winter turned to spring. Torrential rains pelted the earth. These were the best moments. I don't know. Pillows of dough. Her ass was like a mold of gelatin. Eh, I'm not. It doesn't seem that bad to me. She's in her 30s, not all that young, Spellbrun said. Stretch marks, so she's had at least one child. Not the type that usually gets trafficked. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously this makes no sense because people can get stretch marks without having kids. That's the thing. Some dudes have a lot of dudes have stretch marks because they get fat and then they lose weight and then stretch marks happen. All right. Uh, Sex drives decent energy. You can't argue about that. Keep sex drive all balled up inside and you get dull-witted. Throws your whole body out of whack. Holds the same for men and for women. But with a woman, her monthly cycle can get irregular. And when her cycle goes off, it can make her imbalanced. Oh man, that's a great visual. Like what? This isn't when my period is supposed to be here. Oh, like they're falling all over the place because their period is off schedule. Oh man. All right, let's try another one. He lay on his side and watched her breathe, her breasts the sweep of a flank defined with the functional elegance of a warplane's fuselage. Oh, man. So, yeah, analogizing a woman with a plane, a warplane. I don't know, I can understand how a dude would do that. I never have sexual feelings towards big machines and gear, but, um, doesn't sound unheard of. Okay, Valera shook her head, her breasts swaying as she did. I mean, if she has really big boobs, that makes sense. No! And her boobs are saying yes. Um Once you would have admired the way their leg muscles flex, noted how the tight fabric of their sports bras contain their breast flesh, making you wonder how big their boobs would look free and unconstrained. Breast flesh. That's hilarious. As she moved with the undulating grace of one of the big predatory cats, bare feet thrust into open sandals, so the big pointed breasts joggled tautly under the thin cotton of her t-shirt, and the tight round buttocks strained the faded denim of her hacked-off shorts. Joggled. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Um, that makes some activity happen in the pants. I don't know, a joggling of breasts. It's creative. I don't have a problem with that one. She was less like the portrait now than a moment earlier, her lips just parting in a little half-longing, half-troubled smile were like dark rose leaves damp with dew. Her eyelids drooped at the corners for an instant, and the translucent little nostrils quivered at the mysterious thrill that stirred her maiden being. They are translucent, though. If I mean, like, there has to be intense light coming down on her nose, but I've seen that in daylight even. I've seen translucent nostrils. Maybe they're commenting on the fact that it's not a sexy thing to have translucent nose nostrils, but, I think that's just racist. So, let's see. Angie always started on Sundays. Her cycle always lasted 3 days. You could set your daily planner by it. 3 days late might not have meant anything for most women, but the fact it was okay, yeah, I'm not sure what's particularly wrong with that one. Uh, seems like some women would know what their menstruation cycle's like, right? Like, would have I don't know, wouldn't d are some of them? Are some of them exact? Doesn't seem like a particularly compelling character trait to talk about, but I buy it. I buy it. Anyway, that's our cringe theater for today. Not that cringy. Not that cringy. Some funny moments, not very graphic. I'm a little disappointed in that. There's breast flesh. That's graphic. Um, and startled breasts. Um, yeah, that does it for me. I'm into it. I'm into startled breasts. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, um, it's kind of fun. The sheep. Oh yeah, the sheep comparison that was cringy. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, that's our show for today. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Um, as you know, I'm sure, or maybe you don't. Maybe this is your first time here. If you liked anything that I read today, you can check the description below for links to those books, or a link to BuzzFeed. You don't want to go. You don't. You don't want to go to BuzzFeed. They suck. But there's also the Facebook groups. And if you really like the video, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to find out more about this channel. I'm hiccuping now. That is a sure sign that I need to go. So yeah, it was really fun, guys. I think we might have an SBTL coming up this week. Just keep an eye out on our Facebook group and you will see. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thanks a bunch. Later.